Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's Reddit Quickie from the subreddit HFY, called Good Neighbors, written by Level 25 Human Nerd. The link to the original will be down below. And, as always, I hope that you enjoy. Jim woke up at 6:59 on the dot. As always, he gave his wife a kiss just before the alarm went off at 7 o'clock. Silenced it, and then climbed out of bed. He showered, shaved, plucked that one annoying eyebrow hair that kept growing too long, and got his clothes together. A nice suit, a black tie, a white shirt. He paused for a moment with a smile, grabbed his fun socks to add a splash of colour to his ensemble. As he was putting on a bit of extra polish on his shoes, Jim's wife walked in, giving him a kiss on the cheek and disappears into the closet. She reminds him that their son has band practice that night. He promises to pick up pizza on the way home. Jim is happy. Breakfast is coffee and toasted PB&B's sandwiches that he has decided to eat in the car. The weather is clear and there's a pleasant breeze to offset the early summer heat. Jim's neighbor Dave is watering the lawn. They say hello, share a joke about the ball game last night, and Jim leaves for his commute. The traffic is light today, even on the freeway. He finds the surprise treat his wife packed for him, and the radio is playing his favorite song. Jim is happy. As he pulls into the parking lot, Jim finds an empty space right by the door. He parks, says hello to Martha, the old lot attendant. Jim asks Martha how the grandchildren are. They're doing well. One of them might just be accepted to Yale. He smiles and congratulates her, and she thanks him, and they continue on their way. Frank the security guy says hello, and they share the same joke about the same ball game. Frank laughs and wishes Jim a good day. It already is. The office is nice and simple. All the cubicles are the same, but each one has one of those little personal touches that each employee brings with them. The boss's office has glass walls so everyone feels comfortable. Not that he's in his office much. The boss likes to walk the floor and help with the work. He smiles and waves at Jim, and Jim smiles and waves back as he settles into his cubicle, logs in, and the clock's in with the system. It's a slow day, but not many calls, and most of them are nice and easy. Find a mechanic here, call for a tow there, help file a claim on the cracked windshield. It's simple work, but Jim enjoys it. He likes helping people, and while he can't help everybody, it's enough. Jim is happy. As he sits back down after taking lunch at a cafe down the road, Jim clocks back in and immediately he feels it. A sense of excitement wells up as he stands up quickly, straightens his suit. His excitement is quickly picked up by the rest of the office, and a chorus of good luck and be safe rise from around him. The boss gives him a thumbs up. Knock him dead, Jim. Jim replies with a quick wave and then relaxes, surrendering himself to the pool. Field work was always Jim's favorite part of the job. He remembered his first trip, a bear standoff in Colorado. Then there was a semi-accident down in Louisiana a year back. The look on people's faces was priceless. And then there was a pool itself. The tugging at the back of one's mind, the rush of being yanked through vast distances in an instant. Jim's never got used to the feeling. No one ever really got used to it. Acclimated would be a better word for it. Agents learned to read the pool after a while. Some, like Jim, could feel how far they were going and get an idea of the destination. Some swore they could sense the urgency of the caller's request. Jim believed it. He felt it himself sometimes. A calming calling usually meant a flat tire or an overheated engine. A panicked summons could be anything from a deadly wreck to an armed hobo. Jim frowned. This was taking longer than usual. The company only covered the US and Canada, maybe Mexico with the right travel plan, but this was further. Much further. He was starting to feel sick, lightheaded, dizzy. Something was wrong. No agent had been in pool for this long. Where the hell was he going? Who had put in the call? He remembered hearing stories of the Vatican incident, but that agent hadn't reported anything like this. Then, as suddenly as it started, it was over. Jim collapsed to his knees and coughed a few times onto the shiny metal floor under him. The place smelled faintly of sterile, like Clorox mixed with Lysol. He heard movement and looked up and froze in terror. Standing before him was a crowd of, things. They were covered in a pinkish-purple skin with grey patterns. They stood on 3 legs and ended in curled feet and bundles of tentacles that were shoulders would be. Their heads were angular in front of the 6 black eyes, while stretching into a rough saucer shape at the back. Jim's mouth opened and closed like a beached fish, desperately trying to form the words to go home, to return to the headquarters and report this. Just as he found his voice, though, a flash of colour caught his attention. Held carefully in the tentacle of the nearest monster was a small red card with a 16-digit number and the company logo. Confusion replaced fear, and slowly he stood. Creeping forward, he looked closer. It's Shalahan Kalkordak, and he knew that name, he knew that number. But how? Mr. Kalkordak was a middle-aged Eastern European gentleman who owned a small driveway cleaning business, not, whatever this thing was. The creature reached forward with a free tentacle and lightly touched Jim on the head. Immediately he was bombarded with images of understanding. Shalahan Kalkordak was not a man, but people, a society under the constant siege by another aggressive alien race. They had sent scouts far and wide to try and find a new home where they could live in peace. But they had run out of time. One of the scouts had stumbled across Earth after seeing what Jim's company could do. They hatched a desperate and last-ditch plan. Jim looked around at the gathered aliens. This was their species. This ship, this ark was their lost hope. He looked at the headed alien in the eyes and tried to think of what to do. He looked around the area that he had been called to and thought hard. They were covered in what was listed as some mobile home. They certainly could fit the bill, but it was a bit unorthodox. The policy had them covered for natural disasters, accidental damage, and damage caused by a third party. He walked towards the viewport and looked out over the ship that he could see. A few scorch marks and holes would be visible. That certainly counted as third-party damage. Good. He turned to face the crowd of aliens. He smiled and waved. Slowly, he mimicked his gesture. As he walked over to what appeared to be the handhold of some sort, Jim told a joke about last night's ball game. No one laughed. That was okay. It was a pretty bad joke anyway. He grabbed onto the protrusion and took a deep breath. He had never recalled with more than 4 people before. That had been difficult enough, and he was younger then. Not to mention, that had just been a local jump. Who knew what kind of damage that he'd get from this? Just being summoned almost put him out. Jim looked over at the crowd and aliens and smiled. Off the coast of California, he felt the bones tremble. He felt the pull back home. He felt his heart racing, and a cold struggle to bring him and the name location along with everything that he was holding on to. And everything in it. He didn't know if this would work, or what would happen if it did. He only knew that he needed to try. Finally, he felt a rush explode out from inside of him. Everything blurred. Everything burned. Jim never felt pain like this before. Every nerve in his body screamed in agony. Every cell in his body felt like it was being torn apart. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. His hands were on fire. His soul wasn't fire. His vision was filled with color and light and darkness all at once. And then it was over. Jim opened his eyes and saw the shadows of aliens around him, few tendrils gently touching his back. There was blood on the floor. His hands were raw. He coughed. More blood. Moving slowly, he struggled to stand. Looking towards the view screen, he saw the coast in the distance. Specks flying towards them as people on the mainland rushed to investigate the sudden appearance of an alien ship over the Pacific. He smiled, and with a trembling hand, he found his phone and he hit the speed dial. "Angela, hi, it's Jim. Yeah, I'm fine," he coughed. "And more blood. Too much blood." His vision was starting to dim again. "I have, a customer here. Needs a place to stay. They're covered." He collapsed again. He didn't hear Angela's answer. He barely saw the faces of the aliens trying to help them. It didn't matter. He did it. He did his job and got them to Earth. They'd be in good hands now. He knew. Because, after all, like good neighbors, humanity was there. Jim felt a little bad that he wouldn't be able to pick up his son from practice tonight. He was looking forward to pizza. It was okay, though, because the customer was safe. They would have a future. Jim was happy. And that, my friends, is the end of this Reddit Quickie. I hope that you enjoyed. If you'd like to support the channel or the author, all the stuff is down below. And as always, I hope that you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next story. Cheers.